In the silent stillness of the Arabian night, beneath a sky scattered with uncountable stars, a message began that would shake the foundations of the world. It did not begin with armies. It did not begin with power. It began with a command. Read. From the cave of Hira, the first revelation descended upon Prophet Muhammad, a man known among his people as truthful, trustworthy, and deeply contemplative. But what happens when truth enters a world comfortable with illusion? What happens when light pierces a society built on darkness? This is where the opposition begins. At first, the message was quiet, personal, intimate. Recite in the name of your Lord who created. The early call to Islam was not shouted in marketplaces. It was whispered in homes. It was shared with those closest, his wife Khadija, his cousin Ali, his loyal friend Abu Bakr. Why? Because truth, when first introduced, needs roots before it faces storms. But even in its quiet stage, something remarkable was happening. People were changing. The arrogant became humble, the harsh became compassionate, the selfish became generous. And that is where the tension began. Because when people change, systems feel threatened. Ask yourself this: if a message calls for justice, honesty, and worship of one God, why resist it? The answer is deeply human. The leaders of Mecca, the Quraysh, were not just spiritual figures. They were economic and political powers. Their influence was tied to idol worship. Pilgrims came from all over Arabia to visit the Kaaba, filled with idols. This meant wealth, control, status. Now imagine someone saying, "There's only one God. These idols are nothing." This wasn't just a religious challenge, it was an economic revolution. The Quran captures their reaction. They say, "Has he made the gods one God? Indeed, this is something strange." Quran 38:5. Strange, or threatening. The opposition wasn't just about idols, it was about ego. Think about it in today's terms. How often do people reject truth, not because it's false, but because it challenges their lifestyle? The Quran exposes this deeply, and when it is said to them, "Follow what Allah has revealed," they say, "Rather, we follow what we found our fathers upon." Quran 2. Tradition over truth. Comfort over change. Familiarity over faith. This is not just a story of the past, it's a mirror. At first they laughed. They called him a poet, a madman, a magician. Is this the one Allah has sent as a messenger? Quran 25:41. Mockery is often the first weapon against truth. It requires no evidence, only arrogance. But when mockery failed, they escalated. Because truth doesn't disappear when you laugh at it. Then came a defining moment. The Prophet was commanded, "And warn your closest relatives." Quran 26:14. He climbed Mount Safa and called out to the people of Mecca, "Would you believe me if I told you an army was behind this hill?" They said, "We have never known you to lie." That was his credibility. Then he said, "I warn you of a severe punishment." And just like that, the shift happened. From respect to rejection. His own uncle, Abu Lahab, responded with anger, "May you perish. Is this why you gathered us?" The Quran preserved this moment forever. Perish the hands of Abu Lahab. Quran 11. Truth had now gone public, and so did opposition. Once the message spread, the persecution began. Not against armies, but against individuals. The weak, the poor, the slaves. Take Bilal ibn Rabah, dragged across scorching sands, a heavy stone crushing his chest. What was his crime? Saying, "Ahad, Ahad, one, one." Or the family of Yasir, tortured for their faith. Why target them? Because oppressors always test their power on those who seem powerless. But here's the paradox. The more they oppressed, the stronger the faith became. Why? Because belief rooted in truth does not break under pressure, it sharpens. Look around today. How often do people face subtle opposition for doing what is right, speaking truth in corrupt systems, choosing integrity over shortcuts, holding on to faith in environments that mock it? The story of early Islam is not distant history. It is a living pattern. Truth will always be resisted, not because it is weak, but because it is powerful. We often focus on the physical persecution. But what about the emotional burden? Imagine calling your people to salvation and watching them turn away. The Quran consoles him. Perhaps you would kill yourself with grief that they will not be believers. Quran 26:3. This wasn't just a mission. It was a deeply human struggle. Rejection hurts, especially from those you love. Yet he continued. Why? Because purpose is greater than pain. The Quraysh didn't rely on one tactic. They used many. ridicule, negotiation threats, social pressure, economic boycott. At one point, they even tried to bargain. Worship our gods for a year, and we'll worship yours for a year. A compromise. Sounds reasonable, until you realize truth cannot be negotiated. The response came clear and firm. To you your religion, and to me mine. Quran 109:6. A timeless principle. Not all peace requires compromise of truth. When persuasion failed, they turned to isolation. The Muslims and the Prophet's clan were boycotted. No trade, no marriage, no social interaction. For years they suffered in the valley of Shib-Abi Talib. Hunger, hardship, silence from society. Why does isolation hurt so much? Because humans are wired for connection, and cutting someone off is a powerful form of pressure. Yet even here, the faith endured. Because when connection to people is cut, connection to God deepens. What allows someone to endure such opposition? It wasn't wealth, it wasn't power, it was certainty. The Quran repeatedly reinforced this. Indeed, with hardship comes ease. 6. Not after hardship. With it. A powerful reminder, ease exists within struggle, if you know where to look. This story isn't unique. Throughout history, truth has always faced opposition. Why? Because truth disrupts comfort. It exposes injustice. It demands accountability. And those who benefit from falsehood will always resist it. But here's the deeper question. When opposition comes, which side will you stand on? Pause for a moment. What truths do you avoid because they are uncomfortable? What habits do you defend because that's how it's always been? What pressures make you compromise what you believe? The opposition to the Prophet wasn't just external. It reflects internal battles we all face. What the Quraysh didn't realize was that their opposition was not stopping the message, it was amplifying it. Every act of resistance became proof of its power. Every attempt to silence it made it louder. Because truth, when tested, becomes undeniable. The opposition had begun, but so had something far greater. A transformation that would outlive empires. A message that would reach hearts across centuries. And it all started with a simple command. Read. Opposition is not a sign you are wrong. Sometimes, it is the clearest sign you are right. The question is not whether opposition will come. The question is, will you stand firm when it does? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Assalamu alaikum.